Namaskar and welcome to this exciting episode of Satyology Debunking Mythology. Satyology is made from a Sanskrit root word Sat, which means truth or eternal. Logos means the study or science. Satyology means the science of truth or study of truth. Opposite of that is mythology, which is made from Sanskrit root word dhatu called myth. From English word myth also comes from there. And it is means a fake lie imagination. Mythology is a study or science of fake lie imagination. Well, I use Sanskrit roots because that's what all the languages in the world, most of the languages are made from there. And also the Western academics introduced a new term for people like me, Indian Americans, calling us brown Caucasians. I never heard this term before, but it got released just now. Today I have a very,
Oh,
very special guest from Sanskrit Yajnakulam, Vad Yajnakulam. And
Bhagyan
and and then so Dr. Varsha Sarda. Let us welcome her.
Namaste. Namaste, everybody. Namo Namaha.
Namo Namaha. So Bhavata Kim.
Mama Nama Varsha. Bahu Sukhena Asmi. Bhavanapi Kushali Drishyate. Dhanyawadaha.
So thank you so much. And before we start, Sanskrit is such a beautiful language, and when you speak, your words and emotions are combined in the language itself, in the words also. So when we talk about the history of Sanskrit and also the history of Devanagari and separating it from Brahmi, so people do not know that Devanagari is the script, or just some people know very well, but Devanagari is a script, Sanskrit is a language, and Brahmi was a script, Sanskrit is a language. There's a difference between the two. So when we talk about Devanagari and Sanskrit, what is the relationship?
Thank you very much, Aditya ji, to include me in your Satyology. This is a great venture, and I feel that Satyology is a true way to understand our, indigenous knowledge bank. Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
this.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Uh, uh, I feel that
Dhanyawado
Sanskrit.
asmi.
Dhanyavad. Ahamapi dhanyasmi. Uh, uh, we can go in the root of everything through Sanskrit. So I feel that Sanskrit is a very good tool to get the reasoning. Means go for reasoning. If you want reason, refer Sanskrit, you get the get new reasoning. Again, if you want to go to the deep thought, you go to Sanskrit, you get reasoning. So that's why I feel that Sanskrit has a very good means a very dominant role in the way by which you think about the things in Satyology. So I feel how Sanskrit is, you have explained yourself that all the roots are findable and we can get them in Nighantus and in modern Dhatu Pathas also. Dhatu Patha is a bank of roots and Nighantus is a bank of Vedic roots. So those words are from many thousands years. These Nighantus are maintained, and in Nighantu we get words which are Vedic words. So from Vedic words itself, we can get references to Adhunik Abhijata Sanskritam. And from Abhijata Sanskritam, we get versions in many other languages. So can we focus what might be focused in your question,
Yes.
Aditya ji?
Yes, please.
Yes.
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 Yes, I know you know so much. It's difficult to start from where.
Okay.
So when we talk about Sanskrit as a means of computer programming, that's what people NASA is using. What is that they look into Sanskrit which they cannot find in any other language? And when you answer this question and my screen goes just a logo, that means you're on the full screen. Okay. Yeah, please
Okay.
go ahead.
Thank you very much. Actually, Sanskrit is is a language of machine. what we need to know, that how machine operates, and what we need to get communication with the machine. We need a binary in perfect manner without less efforts. So it happens naturally that in Sanskrit, what we sound, that we say. I'll give one example. In psychology, we have spelling P over there, psychology. So why P is there, we don't get reasoning about what is the reason. But dhatu ips is there. Ipsati is to wish. And whatever happens with your mind is because of your wishes. And what do you do with your mind is because of your wishes. So how do you manage your wishes? That is dependent on your ipsology. That is ipsology, we say, and that goes to psychology. That's why P is silent over there. So this is the reason which we can find through dhatu, basic root, that is ipsa. So by this way itself, Sanskrit is so systematic, by which we can understand that in machine language, in less coding, it happens that machine will understand binary in very less time, and less memory also. So this happens, and this even the thinking process or indigenous thought process is too logical, which where no logic is broken. For example, as I say that P is there in psychology, why P is there, it is not mentioned, so we'll have to take it for granted, and we have to remember it. So that memory is to be given to the machine, and then machine will operate. So this part is less when you go through Sanskrit. So this is experienced from many years, and only the thing is that hardware and all the softwares and hardware designing and everything is to be done, and that's why this is going on. Lot many people are working towards. So though it is theoretically seen, only the thing is that support is needful, where the hardware or the chip designing will be supporting Sanskrit software. So how Sanskrit software is useful? Because we need very less coding or less efforts in communicating with machine. So machine language is most easy through Sanskrit. That's why Sanskrit is good for software, means computer coding. Yes. Thank you very much.
Very good. I think for the first time I get it. Even though I'm in the computer science for a long time, when we talk about Sanskrit, and you correctly said that any word spoken as it is, you can document it. Believe me, like there is a mission. A lot of people, they write English or write Hindi or Sanskrit in English letters, Roman letters. Yes. It destroys the very essence of it. But if you write English in Devanagari, people do that also. I make my notes on that. I might write my notes in Devanagari.
Wow.
So somebody speaks English, because I will never make a mistake in pronouncing somebody's names. Like if I meet a Mexican person and if he says Efrain with an emphasis on R, I can exactly write in Devanagari, Efrain. And Ibarra, if you say Ibarra, I can write in Sanskrit. But if I write in English, and then Michael, it's the same spelling, can have different pronunciations which they say. A Russian may say in a different way, American may say in a different way. So whatever they say their name, I can write it as it is. That's the beauty of Devanagari, right? Isn't it? Now, when we talk about Sanskrit as a language, how does it help in improving the strength of our brain power?
Oh, wow. This is a great question. Actually, we can segregate this point into that because of Devanagari script, what happens, and because of sound of Sanskrit, what happens. So first of all, we'll talk about Devanagari. If we write Devanagari, it happens that Kakha Gagha, if we go through Satology's approach, that all these sounds are there in our body. in our human body, all these sounds are accumulated, and those are there in particular places. In chakras, those sounds are there, and those are going on. We can't listen them, but they are there in some hertz. And so that sound, if that is operating over there, its operations are in that Devanagari, form. So if you say ka, so definitely energy is what is that, roaming around, or making some movement in the form of ka. If you say ka, so in the form of ka, it is moving. So this is a very special thing about Devanagari script, and by which whole of the body, when you write Devanagari, your brain is doing whatever is truly happening inside you through sound. So what is truly happening inside you, it is followed in the script. So that's why Devanagari is having that impact on your brain operations, and you get best dendrites connected, and it becomes very easy for you to be too logical and be very sensible. Another aspect is sound. Sound is holistic approach. Whatever sound is there in this world, each and every sound has place in Sanskrit, because it is derived from Anahata Nada. Anahata Nada is Nada which is not heard by us, but it survives around us, and through that Kakha Gaghanga, Chacha Jajanga, all the sounds are created. So there are two types of making words in our language. That is, one is through sound. For example, if waterfall is there, it is making sound, so we'll call it dhab dhab, or ghos ghoso, or dhab dhaba, or some that kind of sound name. And one thing, that what is working over there, what kind of activity is going on, by that the name is given Jalaprapata. So waterfall, we are saying in as it is taken in English. So through activity and through sound, by both the ways, the words are created, and both the ways, words are immediately giving right information to your brain. Right information. You're not supposed to remember word for what I am supposed to use this word for what. So it is decided that from today onwards, I will call this what paper as call this pencil as pen. So from today onwards, there is no reasoning. It is pen. So these type of languages are there where the words are decided. But in Sanskrit, words are not decided by this way. Those words are created by the activity or appearance or the characteristic of the thing which is operating constantly. So that characteristic, or that basic what we say unit of that thing is operating, and we can get it that this pencil is to be called as lekhani, which writes, or ankani, which ankanam karoti. So this is ankani, and pen is lekhani, and megha. Megha is cloud. So why do we call megha as cloud? We don't know any reason, but megha, we have definite reason behind. So this is same with vrishtihi. So everything is dependent on its inner characteristic, which is very, very natural, and by that the immediate information is provided to your brain, and by the meaning itself, the operations are very fast in your brain, and logically you become very, very strong when you are listening words in Sanskrit, and you get reasoning behind each and every word which you use. So this is there, and immediate effect of sound is also there. So which is all the natural sounds which is not having half pronunciation. For example, if we have a, that is half pronounced, so it is used as half pronunciation in Sanskrit. If we say it is half pronounced, it is not means the total touch is not there. So that's why it is called as half pronunciation. So you identify whatever is half pronounced, that is called as half pronounced. Whatever is totally good pronounced properly, then it is called as, yes, it is properly pronounced. So this truthfulness is there in the language itself, where we consider sound, and we can bifurcate clearly all the swaras and vyanjanas and their combinations. No vyanjana is pronunciable without swara. That is also given, though that respectful behavior about swaras is not found anywhere. Ka plus a becomes ka. So this Rama is R plus A plus M plus A, it will become Rama. So every time and A, E, all these swaras are operating constantly. Without them, we cannot pronounce Vyanjana or letter. So these understandings are directly functions are directly connected to our brain functioning. So how our brain functions, according to that itself, the language is designed, and its grasping is according to that itself. So we are not illogical anywhere when we refer Sanskrit. So that's why it affects our brain functioning very fast. So brain coherence is increased, and we ourselves, we have experienced that mathematics approach towards mathematics is totally changed when you start learning Sanskrit, because you stop taking for granted some things. You go for reasoning for everything. So this is best approach we achieve through Sanskrit learning. Thank you.
You mentioned very good points, that you have to be very conscious on what you are speaking, and you have to think, and which naturally builds a logical brain and a reasoning and a thinking power. And that's where, like we have seen with my own kids, I have seen that because they have grown up in this culture of Bhagavad Gita recitation, and we have seen generally kids who are grown up like that, their mental capacities are a little bit higher than average. And empathic, we all want to have a conscious feeling about others. And somehow it also relates to India as a society also, because since it's Sanskrit based society, whether Sanskrit united the whole of India, naturally Indians think about others more than themselves. Do you think it is that coming from the roots of their languages? All the languages
Yes.
in India follow Sanskrit.
Yes. It's a natural instinct of human being. If you follow humanity, it naturally happens that you start thinking about others before yourself. So this is being human being is its best characteristic of human being, that he starts thinking about others before thinking of himself. So as we are separated from humanity, we think that thinking about ourselves is first characteristic, means first point, means it is dominant in us. But what is dominant in us is actually that we think about things first, other things first, and then about ourselves. So that is human nature, natural human nature.
During the history of colonization, we have faced so many attacks. Somehow we have lost touch with the original Sanskrit words, like manchakam for the bed, vayanak. So all these words we have forgotten. And therefore, even if a person is interested to speak, and I have done a course with American Sanskrit Society, and where we have done a spoken Sanskrit course, and I can speak when I'm with them, but with you, you're much more experienced, so I will not try. But generally,
aham prayatnam karomi, Mahodaya. Krupaya. I'll invite you to have some sessions with me. You'll start speaking very fluently.
So
I'll request you.
I will definitely do that. I'll definitely do that. But so when we are in a society, and we are told Sanskrit is very difficult, and what you are explaining, Sanskrit is very logical or natural for a human being, because in any case he's producing sounds, and he's speaking, and he has a voice. And one thing we have seen, that even South American languages have some roots connected to Sanskrit, like very simple things, that Surya is soul, SOL, and Chandra is Chandra in Argentina, Bolivia, and other places.
Wow.
Om
Oh,
is Om over there. Om, they still chant Om in Mapuche tribes in Chile, Argentina, Bolivia. So Sanskrit is, we can see the effects of Sanskrit, but they cannot trace the origin. In India, the levels of Sanskrit, there is one Sanskrit which is spoken language, and which was the official language during Ramayana time, and Mahabharata time also. The educated people used to converse in Sanskrit. Other languages are Madhesi, which are derived from Sanskrit, like Avdi or Brajbhasha. All these are yeah, and Magadhi. All these are derived languages. So the people generally in India as well as in US who would be interested to learn, that the quality of Sanskrit is different in different Vedic scriptures. Like for example, Veda, the Sanskrit quality is different, little bit different, but the basic constructs, if you do Vichhed, if you divide the words, then you'll find the roots of everything. The roots have never changed. Dhatu has not changed, like you say, you're telling. So,
yes.
so when people give this logic that Sanskrit is very difficult, or they have to first learn Sanskrit to read the scriptures, where I usually tell people, read it to learn Sanskrit also. The more you read it, the more you get accustomed to what they're calling what. So what is your advice to people who are trying to learn?
Actually, we directly say that Shravanam, Bhashanam, Pathanam, and Lekhanam. So you're supposed to listen a lot when you want to learn the language. And I don't bifurcate in the languages. The Vedic language was different, and Abhijata Sanskritam of Ramayana is different. But I don't say that some modern Sanskrit is there and the quality of Sanskrit is low. This is not the case. When you are developing your language, it happens that you are somehow diluted language is spoken in the beginning, but your richness is increased day by day. And then after you go to language which is there in Ramayana, because structurally and dhatus are not changed and structures are not changed, and even words are not at all adjusted. So this is not there that low quality Sanskrit is learnt by someone. No, that doesn't happen. He has not developed his language. That is his responsibility actually. And how to develop that language, there are solutions for that. So I would suggest that you listen at first a lot, then you start making sentences and start communicating. You get that chance, and then start reading, and then at last writing. So this is the right way to go, which is to be as early as possible. If you want to achieve command on Sanskrit, you should go through this way, that you listen a lot first, then start making sentences, speak a lot, and then write, and then read, and then at last try to write in Devanagari. So this is the right way to go. So I'll suggest to listen a lot. So nowadays it's not difficult to listen a lot.
Yeah, listening is a short supply nowadays, because people want to talk more. So,
Yes, yes.
so the when we there was a good initiative in India, like for social media app. There was a app named Bokim. I don't know who had started it, but it didn't happen. So so there is a English has a lot of connotations, like what they say and what they mean. It depends on what is their social structure.
Correct. Wow.
So that is called
Yes.
denotation and connotation, the exact word meaning. And so people work on connotation more. But in Sanskrit, there is no such thing. Every word has an absolute meaning, doesn't
Yes.
change, isn't it?
Yes.
So, what are those examples of the word? For example, when an American says liberal, in Sanskrit, what will be the word for that?
Swatantriyam, swatantraha.
So,
Liberal is swatantra.
Swatantra. Now, Swatantra means independent, isn't it?
Independent, Swachandaha, who goes by his own opinion, who can go, and everyone can go by his own opinion. So this is the meaning, Swachandaha. So who goes by his own opinion. If he is agreeing with that, then he will go for that. Like,
But the connotation of liberal in America is totally different.
yes.
The liberal means anti-church. So the denotation is like, this is exactly, you did not know what context I was asking you the question with, but
Correct.
just when we say liberal, this is what American means. But
Yes.
the actual in Sanskrit is totally different. Swachandaha, Swatantra, like independent, liberal, open mind,
Open-minded.
open-mindedness. That is the actual meaning, but the
Yes.
connotation is totally different.
Yes.
So when the reason I was saying, so when an Indian, like as when I came to this country, I could not understand actually what they were trying to say.
Oh.
I could understand for my profession related. I was in sales, so I could understand what they're trying to. I have to sell something, so I know what they're trying to say, but I could not understand what they meant. That was a blessing in disguise, also, because I could sell them whatever I wanted to, because I didn't care what they're saying in any way. Did not understand what they're saying.
Good.
So the second is conservative. So when an Indian tries to understand American diplomats, American businessmen, or what they're trying to say, unless they are acclimatized to America for 10 years, they would not understand.
Really.
But with India, it's reverse. So when an American comes and says here, because the processor is Sanskrit still internally, so whatever they say, Indian will get it, because they will go behind what he wanted to say based on his usage that he has done. So Sanskrit automatically becomes a great platform for understanding others people's psychology and also what they're trying to say exactly.
Yes.
Whereas a Sanskrit guy or person who speaks Sanskrit, for him or her, an American mind will be very, very complex.
Mhm.
But for an American, Indian mind will be very simple, because we are very straightforward in many things. So, in many things. So, this mistranslation, which you see in the Indian media and everywhere else in Indian documents, Indian academic institutions, everywhere,
Yes.
where the liberal is propagated in a different way in India,
Mhm.
and a conservative in a different. Conservative in America means pro-church, is not secular. Liberal means anti-church, he's secular. That's what they mean, because everything is connected to the church at the end of the day. But Sanskrit language is kind of independent, whether you are a Nastic or a Astic, or you are any other belief you may have, but the language will always convey the same meaning. So you're absolutely right when you said it increases truth and justice, Nyaya and Satya. It promotes that. So, what do you then? Then the next point comes in? Then does what are we missing when we don't use Sanskrit in the real sense? And like Al Baruni, one of the Persian historians, said that India is the place where you get truth and justice. If you want to get knowledge, truth, and justice, you go to India, and that's why India was the basis of the trade during that time. It was a basis of trade. So what do you advise the current business people, the scientific community? We already discussed about the NASA application. What do you advise, or what things that you want like to convey, so that we start making Sanskrit as a basis of our understanding of the world outside, and stop translating?
Yes, yes. Aditya I want you on the screen because you don't go off. I want you on screen. I want to talk with you. Thank you very much for this question. I was too eager to say something about this. You have raised a very, very authentic point that being protocolistic is, very problematic. It's very problematic. If you don't know protocols, then you're in nowhere. You're nowhere, and you don't understand anything. So they globally these protocols or key notations, everything is changeable, and what is stable is not considered at all. That's why miscommunications are a big problem in our modern world, because what intention the mail is written. This is happening with me because I have my soft skills training institute there. I know that how people come and how they are saying that my mails are not operating. So why why my mails are not operating globally? I can understand that why protocolistically he's experiencing some hazards, and he is writing straightforward, and which is not taken straightforward by others, and they are misunderstanding and they are not communicating back. So this is happening constantly in India. This is happening, and we are not understanding the intentions, or we are not reaching out because of that simplicity which is followed here. So, and which is needful to save our global time. Globally people are in miscommunication because of protocolistic behavior. Means everyone is in his own protocol, and he is, by his intentions he will be using words, and there is no stability in communication. So this, to bring this truthfulness and stability in communication, only words are not conceptualizing. Structures of the language are also problematic. For example, in childhood we used to go to Minneapolis, and we used to go to play there, and we used to swim there, and my father would bring me balloon. Now my father would bring me balloon, and tomorrow my father would bring me balloon. So in my childhood, my father would bring me balloon, and tomorrow also my father would bring me balloon. So wood is everywhere; it is coming. So how wood is used? It is not taken by Indian mind. So that's why means I have English training experience of 20 years, and I get to know that how Indian mind works. If wood is once it is used in past tense in my childhood, how can I use it for my future? They'll say that, or they'll say that if once I'm using it for tomorrow, how can I use it for my childhood? So then I am supposed to tell them that it's a mood. It's your mood. How do you use wood? So these type of words and adverbs and adjectives and propositions, lot many things are there in English, and same is happening with other global languages, where the stability is lagging, means it's less, and that's why the communication takes late. Means we are wasting a lot of time in miscommunication, and people are not communicating clearly, and some intentions are crossed, and that's why it happens that some particular intentions are fulfilled. So this is happening constantly. So I agree with you, and this is the problem with this. So I will suggest that to bring that stability globally, when the globe is becoming small, as we say, by the way we are communicating, the globe is becoming small. So the time will come where we will need this type of stable language, where people are saying what they are meant to say, and people are understanding what they are meant to understand. So that type of language will be there, and that Sanskrit will be the key role in that. Sanskrit will have that key role in that, creating that language.
Yeah, the Sanskrit, I think Devanagari doesn't have capital letters also. It is all small letters. So there is by design, it doesn't have someone superior or inferior. And the another aspect of Sanskrit is, like you mentioned in the beginning, that you can easily create new words based on dhatu, based on usage. So if you, and sometimes the words can be long, like in written format, but that's how they communicate a particular message. Because of my reading of Mahabharata and Ramayana, I've come to understand that when he says Shikhi Picha Dwaj Dhare, Nana Bharana Bhushite, when he say, so then you actually know Shikhi Picha Dwaj Dhare means on the forehead, peacock feather. It's mentioned about Durga. And this Arjun is glorifying that. So that the entire word is conveying one meaning. Because if you Shikhi Pitch means you don't know whose feather, Dhwajadhare. So we do not know that. So the point which I'm trying to say is, when we talk about Sanskrit, it is, you can communicate your mind in the most complete way, isn't it?
Wow. Yes. Very nicely caught up in the word. Yes. Thank you very much. Yes.
So
True.
my next question to you is, the when we talk about Sanskrit in Hindi, or Sanskrit in Marathi, or Sanskrit in Telugu, or Sanskrit even in Tamil. Tamil, some of the Tamils may not agree, but I firmly believe that Sanskrit was the mother of all languages. But Kerala, Malayalam. So, how much percentage of Sanskrit is still left? In,
A lot of Sanskrit is there, and see, practically what is there, that Tamil and Sanskrit were parallel languages altogether. In Tamil, some letters were less. Some kakaganga, all the alphabets are not there in Tamil, so that's why. And words are also they are in Prakrit nature. So Prakrit nature is totally different than Sanskrit nature. Sanskrit is very systematic, mathematical, and Tamil was by Prakrit nature. So though Tamil is very oldest language, it happens that it has uh, it has all the drawbacks of Prakrit as well as all the benefits of oldest language. So it is like that with Tamil. And in Sanskrit, how Sanskrit was there, both, this is not a separation, Tamil and Sanskrit survived all together. It doesn't happen that Sanskrit was once there and then Tamil was once there. No, there were 200 languages altogether, more than 200 languages, and Sanskrit was surviving, and Prakrit languages were all surviving. And we cannot imagine this type of Bharatavarsham, but it was there, Jambudvipa, where many kinds of languages were used, and at a time, and Sanskrit was also surviving at a time. So now also 70 75, some in some languages 80% Sanskrit is surviving, and without that no new word is created. If in Marathi you want new word, every time Sanskrit is means they look towards Sanskrit. Then for Hindi also it is the same. For Kannada, Tamil, Telugu, in each and every language, if they want new word for anything, every time Sanskrit grammar is referred, Sanskrit is referred, and Sanskrit dhatus are referred. So this is going on, and this doesn't means it will not change for long time, because all the adoption of grammar is from Sanskrit language. So basic grammar is Sanskrit, and basic words are also Sanskrit. Yes.
many historians have proved. Many historians have proved that Sanskrit was spoken in today's Syria. Mahabharata refers to as Madhya Desh, and Philippines with Tagalog. Tagalog was the language which was nothing but Sanskrit, which is Brahmi based Sanskrit language. Brahmi was a script. And some of the scholars, they say, now Lithuania is a Eastern European country, still proudly calls its language as derived from Sanskrit officially. And the Romani people of Europe, they are, even Sushma Swaraj, the one of the Indian foreign minister, she declared in 2016 that they are the Hindus from India who had migrated in those areas. And they also retain their connection to Sanskrit. There is a place in South France called Sarai Kali. People say it's a temple of Saraswati. And Anahita is the name they use. Ishtar, Anahita, Inanna, like many deities are there which are connected, like Attashula Prahane. She's carrying 8 weapons in her hand.
Oh, Ashtashula.
Ashtashula, so which is the form of Inanna, which is nothing but Durga, Attashula Prahane. So the prevalence of all these different facts all over the world, and also Sanskrit being officially recognized as the mother of all Indo-European languages, India and European languages, all of them. Still, there is a I don't know whether the English is easy or whatever, but it is a political will which is lacking to adopt Sanskrit as the official means of communication. And one advantage I'll say, if you're talking about AI, then Sanskrit is a very machine language programming,
Yes.
very comfortable with that. So
Yes.
it's very good interface between humans and machines also. I don't want the machine age, but it's a very comfortable one. So
Yes.
why is that the we as a society of Sanskrit lovers, or whatever you call it, or as a country which is the origin of Sanskrit, we are not emphasizing to make Sanskrit as the global language. Everybody, since President Truman of US, for the last 200 years, or before that, Andrew Jackson, everyone is talking about one world order. So why not
Yes.
have one world language, Sanskrit, which is good for everybody else, isn't it?
Yes. So
What is your view on that?
actually, yes, yes. Actually, the reason behind is, matter of superiority. How can they grant superiority to India immediately so fast? No, means as Sanskrit is originated in Bharatavarsam, naturally it will happen that they have means all have accepted it from Jambu Dvipam or from Bharatavarsham. So it might be the truth that long back everything is taken from India, everything knowledge bank was there, and wearing clothes was also the knowledge which was taken from India. Though we say that it is not acceptable by all. So you are true there that politically it is not acceptable by all. That's why it is stopping us to go for. Even the problem of pronunciation is also there, that living and geographical conditions are so contrast that people are unable to pronounce Sanskrit. So they are supposed to take a lot of effort to pronounce Sanskrit. So that type of teaching methods are to be imbibed, and we are supposed to take more efforts towards that. Globally people will start speaking, because kakha gaghanga, all these differentiation are not realized by many people. Because I have been in Pune University, in foreign department I was teaching. It becomes very very difficult to teach Kakha Gaghanga to all the foreigners. So this, a samskara of tongue, samskara of mouth, that is also very important. So for that also we are supposed to take efforts, and people should come forward to take the efforts to make optimum use of our human, what resource we have got. So mouth, if the human mouth is there, then you can pronounce each and every sound which is there in Sanskrit. It is possible, but it is not taken for granted that I would do it, and it doesn't happen. So it happens that teaching globally, Sanskrit teaching globally becomes somehow difficult, because of the work which is needful towards that. So that lot of efforts are needful, and people are getting means developing themselves to take those efforts. And definitely this dream is very beautiful, that globally Sanskrit is reaching out and people are using it. So most people in the globe will be more comfortable with their sound engineering, their sound engineering inside their body and outside also. So they will have great experience in their life. But we are supposed to take efforts for that.
Yeah, globally, it has been seen that the language was used as a colonization tool to change the mindset of people, and then you can overrule. So the Portuguese installed their language. Look at what's happened to South America. South America has 3,700 different languages, but only three are spoken today. Majority Portuguese, Spanish, and some places English. And that's how the colonization works. So it was one of the basic premises. Now, Philippines was speaking Tagalog. They're forced to speak Spanish. Now, if you go to
Oh,
Philippines, they look Filipinos, but they speak Spanish because it was forced on them. And
oh,
I'm speaking to you in English. It's a great example. But if you look at Japan and China and other countries, which have ensured that they do not teach any foreign language and do not speak also. And that's even though they have a lot of, if you go to Japan, every island has a different dialect. They may not have the same language. There are 630 different varieties of Japanese. 630. But still, everyone who goes to Japan has to follow their culture, and they have to they have to have a translator to translate into Japanese. So this is how colonization works, because it replaces your thought process. Now, language is not yours. So I don't blame the Indians when they don't understand Americans or British. But look at the history. So unless we come to our own, when we talk about Atmanirbhar Bharat, but if you don't have your original thought process, how are you going to become Atmanirbhar? Because you're going to become Atmanirbhar on Western technology, which again is not Atmanirbhar. See what I'm
Yes,
saying?
yes, true.
An American is not going to buy a Russian gun ever. Ever is never going to happen. But an
Yes.
Indian will buy a Russian gun, a French gun, a British gun. It happens in the army all the time. And
So we are not worried about being dependent on foreign softwares. So what is that? No? In every one and other day, people are buying foreign softwares, and we are not worried about that. We are buying foreign softwares daily basis.
on
So
a daily
this
basis.
is there. This
So
is there that our self confidence is very less.
very less, because we are not, see, if you are speaking in your own language, your self-confidence will be very high. Like if I'm speaking Marathi or Hindi, or to some extent a little bit Sanskrit, I'll be very high because I know what I'm talking. And I'll invent things based on my own needs, instead of depending on someone else's. So how does Sanskrit help in decolonizing our minds?
Wow, great questions. Very nice. Actually, what is that? If I use my own language, if I start speaking in Hindi, I get full support from Sanskrit, structurally also, and by word bank also, and for reasoning also, for making new words also. So I get structural support, I get dhatu patha support, I get grammatical support, I get source of making new words also. So that's why my confidence is boosted 15 times if I know Sanskrit, and if I'm speaking in my own language, or Kannada or Telugu or Tamil. So I have source of grammar itself in hand if I go for Sanskrit. So thus Sanskrit is very, very big platform which provides you confidence in globally, and globally also, as you said that they're emphasizing that you should speak Spanish, but Spain itself is announcing that Sanskrit is our mother language. So it might happen globally that Sanskrit is providing lot of space where the language block is experienced. So language is blocked, and there is no way of minting new words. So there also Sanskrit might help. So this might go globally also, but only the international intentions are reason behind where our confidence, though we promote it, and gradually it might happen, it's not working now. So not in near future, but it might go on if we stick to our own languages always.
And I'll give a great example of ISRO scientists. And most of them are Sanskrit experts, most of them. And their way of thinking and logics and Vedic mathematics, Vedic astronomy, you cannot learn all these things by reading translations. I have learned it hard way. When I wrote 3 books on Mahabharata, I had to read the entire Mahabharata. And the one of the fourth one is coming out now. The read the entire. So when I'm reading Sanskrit, all the English translations fall apart. It's like promoting Max Muller's version of Mahabharata or Macaulay's version of Mahabharata. So it's important for us, if you want to learn our own culture and understand the meaning of our own mantra, you have to get into the basic of that language, what you're reading in. And it is very clear, Love and Kush spoke Valmiki Ramayana in Sanskrit in front of Sri Ram. He did not speak in Madesi. Madesi was the local dialect, but he did not speak. Vaishampayan spoke to Janmajaya. The first time he recited Mahabharata was in Sanskrit language, in Takshila, which is in Pakistan today. And the ancient name of Persia was Parsik, mentioned in Mahabharata. Now, if you go back to the Sanskrit roots, then you understand what is Jambu Dweep, what is Shakadweep. We do not know Shakadweep. Shakadweep is Europe. But once you actually get into the language, now you start relating to it. And Shalmali Dweep, Pushkar Dweep, Krauncha Dweep, the different dweeps are there. And so your horizon totally opens up. Now you're seeing the world geography from the point of view of what was the actual history in their language, what was written over there. Yeah. So the geographical mind also develops. Otherwise, you'll start making India into the map carved by the British.
Yes.
So it helps in
Really.
every single way. It helps in military strategy, helps in political strategy, helps in nyaya and niti. So there are many different applications. So what do you have to say on that? All these things.
Actually, what has happened in India just now, that if you are learning Sanskrit, you are limited in some means in Sahitya or some Sanskrit texts, but it is not understood, or it is not publicized, that Sanskrit has voice in each and every field: architecture, then mechanics, then in each computer science. Everywhere Sanskrit has its big contribution in each and every field. So this is not taught in Sanskrit syllabus also. In universities also, the syllabus is not there, and no field is connected with Sanskrit, so Sanskrit is segregated, or it is made up like, one dweepam, or one island like thing, and it is not connected to each and every field. And once, if you are learning in Sanskrit in true sense, it happens naturally that you are opening lot many texts, and directly you are reading Sanskrit, and you are directly claim that yes, I know mechanics, I know architect, I know. So if you start saying that, then people people will say that you have gone more mad. So this, this colonial impact is going on just now also. But Sanskrit has definite role in each and every field to go for fundamental research. And it happens that R&D should be totally dependent on Sanskrit. Once this happen, the indigenous research will flourish, and it will happen that people will not be dependent on foreign research. So this is most important. So Sanskrit has very, very big role in each and every field of every faculty of life.
My rough estimate is the research done in Sanskrit will be 1,000,000 times, 1,000,000, 16 zeros, 10 lakh, but more valuable than anything Western research, because Western research is all based on observation, pratyaksha praman. There is no, hardly they use Anuman praman, and Shabda praman they don't have. So they
Yes.
take Shabda praman from Veda, and then Anuman. So they still rely on this because they can't rely on their own books. They have nothing. So they have to rely on here. Otherwise, why will every single American philosopher or European philosopher quote only Bhagavad Gita for everything? Metaphysics, everywhere they'll go there. Anu, Parmanu, very simple one line. Like in Bhagavad Puran, it is mentioned if you have to remove any vikar in the skin, then you have to bring air in it. So simple pranayam can remove your skin disease. So very simple, like solutions.
It's that knowledge bank is, imbibed in daily life. For
Daily life.
example, if we say dadhi, if we say curd, how curd is made? It is made by Hasta Nakshatra. On Hasta Nakshatra, whatever is raining, the raindrops are collected, and then it is put in the milk, and then the dadhi is created. This year, I've made it with my friends, and it has happened that dadhi is created, and then that same dadhi curd is used for atanjanam, for making new curd for whole year, and then again the older one is discarded, and again on Hasta Nakshatra the drop of water is collected, and again it is done. So how this knowledge has come? How they have understood that on Hasta Nakshatra, whatever water vrishti means, whatever rain will come, those drops are useful for making curd. How this has come? So this lot many things are there which are to be followed, which are forgotten.
No, you solved my query for many years. How the first yogurt was made. Dadi.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
that is Hasta Nakshatra. You're supposed to see it, and rainy season is there, so it rains definitely on Hasta Nakshatra in these days, those days in rainy after rainy season, and on Hasta Nakshatra you collect drop. Small drop is enough for milk, and that curd is for you. And then again for third time, the curd is more refined and it's very. So for first time it is very tasty. Then again you are supposed to make again for third time it is very nice, and then you can use it for whole year. Mm.
Uh, I learned a lot in last
Thank you
part
very
of
much.
this. But
Yes.
next time, I would like to invite you again. And for viewers also, what I'm going to do is like, there are a lot of mistranslations go on, simple things like people, when Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Ma Shucho, you know, people connect it to cleanliness, but that is talking about do not be fearful, do not be scared, you know, Tola bhaybit ho nakos in Marathi they'll say. So
Oh,
then, but the point is, the there is so much mistranslations going on, and
oh, yes.
deva and devata, because the dev is declared one. Dev is only dev means Vishnu in Sanskrit,
Yes.
declares to be Vishnu, but devata means
Mm.
anyone who follows him is devata, and devi is the one
Wow.
who is like him or follows him, or she is the counterpart sometimes. So devi,
Kriya. Hmm.
kriya. So it is
Kriya
so
Shakti.
Kriya Shakti. So we'll cover those points in later details. I really enjoyed my conversation with you, and it was a
Thank you
real
very
honor to
much.
have you on the show. Thank you so much, and
Thank
namaskar.
you very much. Namaskar.